Okay. Let's make it a little bit louder. I think we have to make things a little bit louder. Okay, everyone, we're continuing in our HISBODEDUS class. We began last Friday, Perek Beis, chapter 2. We got into the reasons why people don't want to do HISBODEDUS. And one of them is you're afraid what you will find. You'll find the small person that is, oh, now I got to get rid of this thing. All these things. Oh, here. Okay. So we're on page Samachay. Hang on. Every time you move it, everything goes moving all over the place. Page 1, page 2. Hang on. I don't believe this. Okay, 1 second. Okay, let's try it again. That's the one we want. Samach Gimel Samach Dalet. Okay, there we got it. Okay, we're on page Samach A. We've talked about the first reason people do not want to do HISBODEDUS because they're afraid they were going to find other reasons. Now, Acharei she'evanta, now that you understand, to be what you really want to be, that you have to be in solitude away from other people, to be alone together with Hashem. Now we can understand what Rabbi Nachman says in his 96th teaching in the Likutei Moharan Tanina. Amar, he said, really a whole day should be filled with HISBODEDUS. And to spend the entire day on that. But not everybody can fulfill that. Therefore, he said, at least we have to order people spend at least 1 hour of HISBODEDUS a day, because that's also very good. But someone whose heart is strong in Hashem, and a person wants to accept the yoke of Hashem truly, that he should really want to have HISBODEDUS a whole day, as the Gemara Bracha says, halavai, a person would daven all day long. And then he expands on what we know in the Gemara Brachos as well. So Teisha shows by Yom Bohem, Yushoim HaChasim Rishonim HISBODEDUS Tfilut Dveikus. The Chasim Rishonim were spending 9 hours a day on HISBODEDUS and Dveikus. And that was fulfilling the words Ulavai Shispal Aladum Kol Hayom Kulo. Because every day was 1 hour of Tefillah, 1 hour of preparation, and 1 hour follow that. So it was 9 hours. Now, ha'anoshim misaviv mashkichim hakol. See, the people around you cause you to forget everything. Kenar shotef, like a running river. Hakol nira tov, samech b'shur. Everything looks great. We're amazing. And that's everybody else. They're very afraid to be involved in themselves, of fixing the evil. Because it's only because he's afraid. Miyaser, it's going to be painful, but and it's going to have claims and criticisms. So you got to stay away from those people that everything is nice with them. So remember the golden words of the Mesil Sherman is warning in the Shara Prishus. In order not to allow the vanities of your friends to cause you, we'll coin a verb, to vanitize with them the same way. So that's why you want to stay away from them. Okay, now let's move it over. Page Samach. Every morning we say in the Shachris right after the morning brachas before karbanos. Ki hakol havel, everything is vanities. Still in all, everything is all miscombobulated and unifies in this world with this vanity. That's why a person always remains small throughout his whole life. If you stay in this false world that runs after vanities, then you're always focused on these small little things. Okay? Unless you separate yourself and go into solitude and separate from these people. We'll never reach ourselves to the ani hamiti, the true I of myself, which is the essential truth, which is found in the depths of everybody's soul. Okay, but the truth, the goal is not just to be alone, to not be with all the foolish people. It's not just enough to be rid of everybody. The goal of being alone from everybody, only to be with Hashem. To be a hermit, like, what's that rich guy? Remember the really rich guy in the 50s, 60s?
Yeah, the one with the planes. Howard Hughes, yes, exactly.
To be alone yourself, that isn't anything valuable. To be with Hashem. Who, Vani, him and me. As the Shalom HaKadosh, I think we already said this already, there's no measure of how valuable being alone with Hashem, and the siman is, as we say on Sukkot, ani v'ho hoshiana, which means when I'm alone with the v'ho, mystically, that means the Shechina, ani v'ho, then ozai la Hashem Yeshua. That brings salvation to and from Hashem. When I'm with people, I can't be alone with Hashem when I'm with other people. It's not possible. Impossible. I can't even be alone without being connected to everybody else. Because I'm a portion of everybody that's around me. I can't separate from them. Remember, we said you're thinking about them even if you're alone. Therefore, you have to totally extract it and be thinking of Hashem instead. Let's look more at the words of the Mesil Shasharim. He says, quote, "V'yokar min hakolu," and what's the most precious thing he's being alone with it? Just like as you push away from your eyes all the content of this world, so you're also pushing away that desires from them from your heart. That's what we keep talking about, the idea of the technology. It exposes you to so much in that world. You're seeing so many things. Your eyes follow, your heart follows what the eyes see. So you're seeing all these amazing things. It has to have some effect of your wanting some of that, whatever they're telling you. And they're always telling you something. They're always telling you, you need to have this. It could be direct, it could be subliminal. But that's, do you ever notice that the news that you watch and the commercials that they have is patterned to the audience that they know that's viewing it?
Of course.
And if you're watching things at an earlier nighttime hour, it's geared to the senior citizens. A later nighttime hour, it's geared to the younger people who stay up later or whatever. They know their markets.
Well, more powerful, Rabbi, is the internet, where they see what you've looked at and then they keep advertising you more of that.
Exactly. You're falling into their hands. So they know if you're looking a lot at COVID, just giving an example, they're going to sell you, things that will protect you from COVID, right? So it plays on that, and therefore they are manipulating you. There's no question about it. Now, believe it or not, before the internet, society manipulated you anyway. But that had to come from the door-to-door salesman. It had to go from the people who run the store. It didn't matter. Even before internet, right? Before the whatever. And
The
before
billboards,
the
Rabbi.
21st century, you go to the store, there's ads, newspapers. Everybody is and the more you see, the more you want.
Yeah, and how they place items in the supermarket by the checkout counter, all those
That's
things.
right. Why do Gedolim, real Gedolim, really never needed vacations? Why? They never watched anything about vacations. They didn't know they exist. They didn't feel they're missing anything. Very happy people. We keep seeing all these things about vacations. So if we keep seeing it, then we feel we need it. That's all there is to it. So, the truth is, and a person who, remember what they say, if you like the work you're doing, what's the expression? You never work a day in your life, something like that, right? I mean, I have quoted properly. If you enjoy what you're doing, you never work a day in your life. So if you really enjoy, if you're a gadol and you love learning Torah, so why would you want to take a vacation from that? There's certain people that they work, they love their work. They mamish love it. It feeds them. It energizes them, whatever it is. They said about Trump, like he loves work. He can't stand being on vacation. He can't stand being on vacation because he enjoys work. So if Adam Gadol loves learning, it's the sweetest thing in the world to him. Why would he ever want to leave? So because we're not exposed to all this narishkeit. We are, and we all want to go on vacation. And we get to the point where we have to go on vacation. And if we don't go on vacation, because the messages are telling us we really don't like working, you see. We don't like working. Remember, vacations used to only be that of the wealthy who had nothing else to do. Where do you think it came from? Going to go to Martha's Vineyard. Who lived in Martha's Vineyard? Multi-millionaires who weren't working. And some of who are working were made to be shown, you're really a loser. Now, if you can really get vacation, you're amazing. Again, I'm not, we're in a state where we're so far gone. For us to think not to have a vacation is like to mamish feel like you're not eating breakfast. So, we're not in a position, but we need to know at least to be. Now, if you'd have HISBODEDUS, we'd have HISBODEDUS, we'd understand this is a narishkeit. These are all 8 steps removed from the real problem. So you can't talk to people about the pitfalls of vacation until you go 8 steps earlier. And it's a very simple thing. What is it? If you can afford it, you go on it. And if you can't, that's it. It's only a question of what you can afford. And how much more you have, how much more you'll spend. That's just the way it is. Except for great people who don't feel the need. But that's just part of the idea. If you wouldn't be in such a chevra, how could you not be so chevra? You see it everywhere. No, if you just cut yourself out from all the media, you won't know about it. Little kids already are trained to love vacation because their parents tell them, we're going on vacation.
Disney film.
Okay, it's not, I'm not saying we can go cold turkey on this. I'm not suggesting this. I'm just saying, what Silja Sharm is saying, what you see is what you want. And that's a reality. That's all there is. Again, if you don't turn your eyes away from the world, your heart is there. Your heart is where you're thinking about. So you're not in your own control. That's for sure not. Because you are also part of the rest of the world. You are connected to everything else in this world. Now it's your choice what to connect to. That is your free will choice. What do you want to be connected to? And you can choose to disconnect. That's clear. You cannot merit a pure heart. If you're intertwined with all the ropes of silliness in this world that you're a part of it. Can you pour your heart out to Hashem like water? If your heart is dulled, and you're not interested in being in holiness, when was the last time you looked in a newspaper and it told you something about holiness? Real holiness? Nowhere. Maybe you go to a Jewish newspaper, they'll tell you about it. It's a retreat, a Torah retreat, which costs $5,000 to go to. Oh, so you need to have money for that too. Right? It's very rare to have just a Torah journal. They used to have this in Europe, just a Torah journal, but that's people could follow it. Nowadays, people can't even follow it. So you got to put it on, and they can't produce it because you got to have all these ads. It's a vicious cycle. But how can you pour your heart out? I'm being out myself, included with everybody. How can you say you really love pouring your heart before Hashem where there's nothing out there that tells you about that? Right? It's just not there. You have it in this book. Okay, you have a little bit, and people tell you, well, it's all breastfeeders. They're whacked out. They're really nut jobs. So you don't want to hang around these people. So that or else you say, I don't want to be part of those people. Okay, fine. So how are you ever going to love it? Because you're not in an environment that is engendering that.
You go to Western.
Because even if you're not like that, by nature, you're not that kind of person. But the foolishness of your friends get rooted in your hearts. So therefore, as Mr. Sherman is telling us, Tifrosh, separate, Tispoded, be alone with Hashem. Why? To quote Mr. Sherman again. So lo yeviyucha have lechavercha lehavil kamosa, that the silliness of your friends should not cause you to be as silly as them. So okay, again, it's not. I'm telling you what the theory is. Again, I keep warning everybody: don't go cold turkey. You're going to kill yourself if you do this. It's got to be done very, very slowly. And you got to remember, you have family and friends who could get very hurt if you do it in a way that's, putting them off. But ultimately, you have to make certain decisions in your life. And there's certain times in life when this can become easier. For example, some of us at our age are looking sooner or later to make aliyah. Make aliyah, or maybe, downsizing from where you live to go to a place that's different. That's a golden opportunity to find a place of people who are like-minded like this. You can go to Eretz Yisrael, make aliyah, you go to a place that they're just after all the pleasures of the world as well, but you'll find places that are different.
To choose your neighborhood.
You'll find places even in New Jersey, New York, that could be like that. I'm not telling you to move today, but a lot of us have ideas of moving to Eretz Yisrael, maybe. So find a place that's more like that. You're able to do that. Now, it could be very hard. It could be you feel that way and your spouse doesn't. That's going to be a serious problem. These are the kind of things you can't do on your own. You've got to encourage your spouse, if possible, to be into this idea as well, because then you're going to be in two different worlds, and that's not going to work. I'm telling you that in advance. I mean, you could do it privately. It could work to a certain degree, but after a while, you're going to sense that you're on a certain wavelength and they're not. You have to daven. If to daven, that they'll try it together with you. Remember, if you daven to Hashem and you want something, Hashem answers you. Hashem does miracles.
It's just a delay.
And he can do miracles if you really want it. So first you have to try it with yourself. Okay, now we come to more deeper, subliminal reasons why we don't want to do this. Kishodam nitzav levado, when a person is all by himself, all of leaf gosh esafilosoph, he's going to meet all his failures. Yeridosov, his going down, as hachatoim, the sins, v'aregoyim hakoshim bahem, himra es pi Hashem, in the times where, the hard times when you rebelled against Hashem, you're going to come across that when you're going to be reflecting.
That'll be your first.
So lahar yeshubem es mod rachman, you're going to feel you're very, very far away from Hashem. And since now you don't have anyone else to think about, you're going to start thinking about yourself. You're going to see how small you are away from Hashem. And now he says a very strong line. Hold on to your seats. Pisom Yashi Libo sometime, suddenly, it comes to his heart. His famous name, Mr. So-and-so, the kindest guy. Out in the world, he's mamish to everybody. He's so great. But Imeno Elachizanayim, that's just sleight of hand. Yes, I do the things in front of everybody to make it seem like I'm a great guy. But if you're really digging in, he might find out that he is included in the group that's called Mefursam Shel Sheker, phony, famous people. Famously phony. No, phoningly famous. That's the right way. Phoningly or a lying famous. You follow? That everybody thinks you're amazing. It's a big lie. Okay, Dalit gets a little bit better to understand this. Shomati mipi Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Zal, b'shem Rav Avram b'Rebbe Nachman. So I don't know who heard this, but somebody says they heard it from Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, which can't be somebody who wrote it now, but somebody who heard it in the name of Rabbi Avram, the son of Rabbi Nachman. First of all, when you learn in the book of Rabbi Nachman, this concept of Mefursam Shel Sheker, very popular, but a false person. Don't start looking around the room to find out who's the phony guy.
If you don't know
Oh yeah, that reminds me of Chaim Yaakov. That's exactly Chaim Yaakov. You're right, you hit it right on the show. That guy, no. By the other one, El Yivda Kadev Shuatzmali Session Versa. But check it out that you aren't that guy. And the name that precedes you really is a big lie. You know when that comes, you know when it's very, very sad? If you play up that kind of life, you know what happens? At your funeral, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. Because at your funeral, they're going to say all these amazing things. And guess who's listening to all the eulogies? Not just you, Hashem and the Bezdin. And they're going to look at this, and that's going to be their first Exhibit A. Exhibit A. They said you're a big Talmud Chacham. They said you're the kindest man in the world. Whoa, you're the kindest man in the world. Let's take a look at things that are going on in your house that nobody knows. Guess you aren't, eh? So you're a phony on top of everything else, eh? That's why we got to be really careful. You know, sometimes it's a halacha. Don't exaggerate the praises of the deceased because that's going to put him in big trouble. Therefore, there is a virtue to want to not be eulogized because then you can be on safe turf. No one's going to be saying that at your funeral.
Get your enemy to do.
Think about it. You just don't have one. That's all. It's a big deal. Everybody does. Here we go again. Everybody does. Everybody, you know, I'm going to hear about how good your mother cooked. I want them all to say how good a cook my wife was if I'm at her funeral. I want everybody to know how good my golf game was or whatever. He's both of an actual. You think about it now. Let's be honest. He's talking to yeshiva boys now. How many pages of Gemara with Rashi and Tosas do you really know clear? So let's just go to people like us. How much of the Torah do you know clear?
1 page.
How much? Can you tell me right now all 54 parshas in order and what the content of each one is? You know, Hayeshim Keil B'Chlal. Are you in that group? I know your outside behavior seems to make a mark, an impact. Is that really going on inside of you? Oh, yeah, should also make a calculation. Have you purified yourself? And you're satisfied with only a little bit of physical world? Are you cleaned out? And you're extricated from all the lusts what people are all wrapped up around? Are you really a spiritual person, or are you fooling everybody that you're a spiritual person? This is where you're asking the serious questions. And you're going to find you're the famous phony. Samches. Cheshbon Aruch Mo is a very long calculation. I'll call Mashlos, you got what you didn't do properly. And what you needed to do, you haven't done. And all your midas in general and every specific midah. Hakirva, Hashaycha Shel Hashem, the closest, how much you really relate to Hashem. And what about your prayers, where it's only just a routine thing? L'lo Hashem, without any soul. Lishum Chuber Hashem, without any connection to Hashem. Li Gaguim V'Kisum, without any yearnings to Hashem. Atamotzim Vichas Amilim, you're letting the words come out of your mouth. That the men of the Great Assembly told you to say. Some with nevuah, and you're not there. You're just getting whatever Cyrano de Bergerac's telling you to say. And that everybody's afraid to find out what kind of phony you are. But really, it's good to be together. You see, if I'm with my buddies, we're not going to go to those dark places. We're all a bunch of phonies in a phony's paradise. Because we're all afraid. I'm a vachlim. We're too afraid. Taivim, Dorshim, Yasrim, Shavim, Afilim. There's going to be claims against us, seeking, giving us musar, falling, breaking. I don't want this. I want to hear this. I don't want to be there. Yeah, my buddies, we're at a good time. Let's do something really fun so we don't think about life. But he still says there's still one more issue here. Yesh od tam nister is another hidden agenda. Yesh od mishu shemafachid ma'od ma'azman hazeh shel bad bavad shel anivaho. There's still somebody who's really terrified if you're going to be alone with Hashem. Who is the most terrified for you to be alone with Hashem? Who do you think?
Yetzer Hara.
The Yetzer Hara. Who lo acher, Meshar Baal Dover is none other than the Baal Dover, the Yetzer Hara. Why? Well, Yodea Hatev, he knows really well. Shebarega Sheteshav Nochach Pnei Hashem. At the moment you really stand right before Hashem. Tiparid Mimeni, you're going to separate yourself from your good buddy, the Yetzer Hara. Tomais, but you're going to be revolted by the Yetzer Hara. Tislonin in love, you're going to complain about him. You're going to go to Hashem and say, Hashem, I hate that Yetzer Hara. What do you give me this Yetzer Hara? Every day the Yetzer Hara. Can you do something to get him out of my life, please?
You can do that?
Sure.
Oh.
Tish B'Yasiach. You're going to pour your speech. And you might merit to shed tears over what he's done. You give me, I hate this Yetzer Hara. He's always telling me to do things I hate to do. And I hate myself for being fooled by that Yetzer Hara. And look, he brings out the worst in me. You know what? Just saying that alone will cause you to hate the Yetzer Hara. Because the problem, we don't hate the Yetzer Hara. We love him. He's our buddy. Once we start talking to Hashem, we're going to start hating him.
It's very ego.
And at that time, when you're screaming, you're saying, Hashem, get him off my back. Then you could suddenly reveal the true you. That soul that's thirsting, that's hungry, that's on fire for Hashem. And that's where the hidden fear is coming from. Who Yasa called the Yetzer will do anything and everything. That you don't get to this time. You know what he'll even do? To make sure you're learning more. Let him learn. You know what? I think it's a great idea. The rabbi is telling this new program is going to take all your free time up. Great. You're not going to have any Yetzer Hara. But you're not going to have any time for his prayers. You can do anything, he'll give you millions of dollars to give tons of tzedakah. Whatever it takes, as long as you don't do any HISBODEDUS. Wow. Ain't shum hesver miskabel das l'medias hatzuma sheish al kiyama. Because there is no logical reason why a person wouldn't be involved in HISBODEDUS. She kol kach pshut, it's so simple. You could be an idiot and do HISBODEDUS. Kalanima, it's light and easy. That's why we don't like to do it, because we see people that we think are idiots are doing it. That's what Mr. Sharm said that in the beginning. He said, you don't find the scholars doing it, only people who aren't scholars. So we think it's a stupid thing. And it has the sweetness. Shall Hashem. Now you're going to delight in Hashem. So why would we not do it unless, Prat, the only way we can explain it, it's all coming from the Yitzhar. Yeah?
So I tried it yesterday for 2 hours.
You tried it yesterday for 2 hours.
And like just, it was thoughts like this, like, what I'm
Yeah.
doing wrong, what's, why you
Okay.
change, why I'm having a hard time.
Okay, good. All right, we'll see. We'll be given more
think of
guided practice in this. Okay, we're going to stop it here in the middle of the Yitzhar. We're stuck in the middle of the Yitzhar. God willing, we hope to be moving quickly so we can start putting these things into practice, at least, I hope, by Elul, when it really is important. That's the goal. So we got 3 weeks or so. Okay, sei gesund, go ahead for listening. Take care. Your dad's your